Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with the next update for my Panda palette, and if you have been following along, I am panning a very popular palette to pan, and that is the Modern Renaissance. This is my fourth update, I believe, or fifth update even. Time flies, but I'm gonna go through where I am with this palette now, the progress that I made in the past month, as well as like my goals for the next upcoming month. So before I jump into that, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So as always, I'm going to start by putting up the picture right here of where I was last month. As you can see, I had pretty good progress already on this palette. I had panned or finished up all of the shades apart from two. I still had Love Letter and Red Ochre left to pan on. And overall, the palette was just looking quite used, especially compared to where it was at the beginning of the year. I did have two shades already finished, as you can see also. So let's just also put up the picture of where I am today. So this is what my palette looks like today. I'm gonna just pull it up close so you can see it better. But yeah, this is where I am now. So let's just go through each shade in order. So the first shade in the palette is Tempera, and that one has already been done. I finished that in the third update. The next shade after that is Golden Ochre, and this one I actually have quite a lot of progress on. I did use the shade 15 times in the past month, and I have actually managed to hit side pan right here, so you might be able to tell. And I'm just expanding the pan quite a bit in the past month, which I'm excited about. This one is probably going to be the next one to be finished. I'm going to talk again about my goals at the end of the video, but again, I'm really excited about the progress I was able to make on this in the past month. It's a really easy shade for me to use. I love this as like a first transition shade and like a blending out shade for other transition colors. So yeah, I love this shade. It definitely was one that I wasn't really interested in back in the day, but I had this in Panda's eyeshadows or some sort of project before last year, and I had pan on it then, and I really fell in love with it. And as I've been panning this palette, this is probably one of my favorite shades to use. So that is Golden Ochre. Next to that we have Vermeer, which was the first shade I finished in the palette, and I finished that in update number 2, so that is done as well. And next to that we have the shade Bon Fresco, which is that kind of like dusty mauve tone. I actually only used this once in the past month. I was kind of tired of these pinky tones in the palette because I have focused a lot on Bon Fresco and Venetian Red previously, so I wanted to take a bit of a break from them this past month, but at least I got one use out of Bon Fresco. Next up we have the shade Antique Bronze, and this is actually one of the shades that I wanted to use more in the past month because I actually only used this shade once in total before this last update, and in the past month I reached for it 5 times, and I'm pretty excited about that. I did expand the pan a little bit. Yeah, I'm not sure how much you can see, but like it is expanded a little bit, and the dip is getting a bit wider as well, which is good. I'm happy with 5 uses. I was never expecting to use this like 15 times or anything. 5 I'm really happy with, especially considering I only used it once in total prior to this month. So that is Antique Bronze. Next up we have Love Letter, which I have not used. I have only used this one 4 times in total in this project, but I'm focusing on this shade down here, and they are very, very similar. So I'm kind of leaving this until I'm done with Venetian Red. So again, I have not used Love Letter. Then next to Love Letter we have Cyprus Umbrella, which is another shade that I wanted to reach for this past month. It wasn't necessarily a focus shade like Antique Bronze, but I just wanted to make sure that I reached for it because with these deep shades, they're easy to incorporate in looks, but I just forget about it. And this one is quite a dark and pigmented shade as well, so I know it's going to take quite a while to finish up. I did reach for it 3 times in the past month, so not amazing, but I did reach for it. So yeah, if I kind of stay around there, or maybe even like 5 uses a month, I think I should hopefully be able to make some good progress on this. And then at the end of the year, or like when we get to autumn and winter, I think I'm going to want to go for more smokier looks again. And hopefully then I can kick this one out, but that is what Cyprus Umbrella looks like now. So let's move on to the second row right here. The first shade is Raw Sienna, and I have not used this one. Similarly to Love Letter up here, I have not used this one because I'm focusing on the shade next to it, which is Burnt Orange. Burnt Orange I used 11 times in the past month, and I do believe I have expanded the pan a little bit. I haven't really properly looked at the comparison yet, but I do think I have expanded this pan quite a bit, which is exciting. This is definitely one that I think I'm going to use more as soon as I get a tan. I mean, I use it quite regularly anyway, but once I get more of a tan in summer, or like a fake tan in summer, I think burnt orange is going to serve a similar purpose to what golden ochre is serving now, like as a first transition, because I will have more of a tan then, and this is going to be more close to my skin tone. So I love the shade, and I'm going to continue working on it, and hopefully that will also be done in a couple of months time. Next to burnt orange, we have the shade Primavera, which is this shade right here. It's actually the only shimmer shade I have left in the palette. I have actually used this one 7 times in the past month, which is really good. I hadn't really used it much prior. I only have 5 uses on it prior in the previous months, but I did use it, like I said, 7 times. And I did use this as a highlighter when I used it, and that is why the pan has expanded quite a bit. I think that's honestly probably how I'm gonna continue using it, because it's not impactful enough for me on the eyes, but it is absolutely stunning for a highlighter. It is a bit too deep for me now as a highlighter, but I was fake tan early in the month and then it was perfect. So I'm not gonna rush this shade, but once I get more of a tan, or again fake tan in the summer, I'm probably gonna continue using this as a highlighter, and hopefully by like August or so this one should be done as well. Next to Primavera, we have the shade Red Ochre, and this is one that I wanted to hit pan on in the past month, and that was a goal that was rolling over from the previous month because I wasn't able to hit pan on it in the last month. But as you can see, I was able to do so this past month. I did use it 9 times in the past month, and it took me 33 uses in total in this project to hit pan on it. I think I only used it like twice in this past month before I hit pan, and then after that I have been expanding it, so the pan is pretty decent size now, which is exciting, and I'm going to continue using it. It's a nice shade. It looks a bit more red in the pan, as you can see, but it's honestly just a really warm toned brown, so it is really easy to incorporate into a more kind of neutral look. So yeah, I'm going to continue working on that in the next month, and hopefully again expand the pan. Next to Red Ochre, we have the shade Venetian Red. Again, that is the shade right here. This is also one that I only used once in the past month. I used it together with Bon Fresco, and I actually mixed them two and put it in the crease, and I really quite like that. But again, I've been a bit worn out on those kind of reddy tones, so I didn't wear it that much in the past month. I'm going to try to make an effort to using this more in the next month, but again, it was just one that I was a bit worn out of when it comes to those reddy tones. But I do want to move this out rather quickly so I can start working on Love Letter, because again, I'm just working one of those at a time, and yeah, I'm focusing on Venetian Red at the moment. So hopefully I can expand the pan quite a bit in the next month, because I do want to kick this out ideally by the end of summer, just so I can start working on Love Letter when we hit autumn. So that is the shade Venetian Red. Next up, we have one of my most used shades in the palette, and that is the shade Warm Taupe, which is the shade down here. I used this 24 times in the past month, and I definitely do think I expanded the pan quite a bit. I also made a dip around it, definitely lower. I do use the shade mainly as my eyebrows, and that is why the usage is so high, because I do use it like every single day. I do use a small amount every day though, but it definitely is getting lower, and there was a time earlier in this year when I wasn't sure if I could finish this up simply using it as an eyebrow powder. But I'm getting more and more hopeful with that as we go along, because I do definitely have a big dip in this shadow now. So hopefully I can continue expanding the pan in the next month, but I'm happy with where I am with this shade at the moment. Then the final shade in the palette is Realgar, right at the end there. This is a shade that I also wanted to focus on a bit more in the past month. So this together with Cyprus Umbrella and Antique Bronze were more kind of my focus shade. And I also wanted to hit pan on Red Ochre like I mentioned. But this one, I'm really happy with the progress I was able to make. I actually used Realgar 9 times in the past month, which is really good, because this is a shade that I've used like once every single month prior. So 9 is pretty good in a month, and I definitely think I expanded the pan a bit in this shadow. So that is very, very good. And I actually really enjoyed using this. It's not as bright as it looks in the pan. I feel like it looks very kind of bright in the pan, but I feel like all of the shades in here, although they look slightly colorful, they do pull very neutral on the eyes, at least in my opinion. So I think I can definitely incorporate this more in the next coming month as well, especially since we are getting into more of the warmer months. So that is where I'm on a palette at the moment. So let's just move on to my goals quickly before I wrap up this video. So when it comes to my goals for this palette, I do want to finish up Golden Ochre there. I think that is definitely something I can do. I think if I just continue using it, I think it might take like 20 uses in the past month, but it's a shade that I can reach for very, very often with my neutral look. So I do think I should be able to finish that up, and that is going to be my main goal for the upcoming month, is to finish Golden Ochre right up there. For the rest of the shades, there's nothing else really that I want to finish or like hit pan on, because the only shade that I have left to hit pan on is Love Letter. But like I said, I am waiting with that shade until I finish Venetian Red. But let's just say, speaking of Venetian Red, let's put that as like a focus shadow in the next month, and I want to use that as much as I can. Even if I just get like 5 uses out of it, I would be happy with that, but I do want to use it more than I did in the past month. What else do I want to do? I do really want to focus on Cyprus Umbrella again. It's just one that I cannot seem to reach for as much as I want to in a month, so I do really want to focus in on that one again. And I also want to continue using Antique Bronze. So those are going to be my focus shadows. We have Cyprus Umber right here, Antique Bronze right here, Venetian Red down here, and then I also want to finish up Golden Ochre, which is that shade there. So that is where I am with my palette today. I'm really excited with the progress I'm making, and I can definitely see that this is getting used. And I'm getting more and more hopeful again that I can finish this palette by the end of the year. There definitely still are some shades that will be difficult, especially I'm very worried about Love Letter, because I do have those two similar shadows, and yeah, they definitely are difficult to use like on an everyday basis. But other than that, I'm getting, like I said, hopeful that I can finish the rest of the palette. That is probably the shade that I'm most worried about. But other than that, I just have to track along with the rest of the palette, and I'm excited to see where I'm at by the next update. And that, you guys, was it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I do know a couple of people are planning the Modern Renaissance palette, but if you're planning something like a palette this year and not posting on YouTube, please let me know how you're doing. I do follow basically everyone's palette on YouTube. I love watching Panda Palette. Those are my two favorite projects, obviously in combination with Project Level Up, which I started, but I do watch basically everyone's video of Panda Palette that I can find. So if you post on YouTube, I probably already know how you're doing, but if you don't, let me know down below how you're doing with your palette. And otherwise, I hope you're having a lovely day, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.